rolling. Welcome back to Know Thy Shelves. I'm Michelle.
I'm Rachel.
It's nice to be back on a Wednesday. I'm trying not to delay us anymore. So I haven't read anything. I've been bored. I don't know. Did you have any book news besides?
No.
No,
I didn't have
okay.
any book news.
Not this.
I did read one other book, which I finished today,
Oh,
called Ministry of Time.
okay.
And it was like a sci-fi time travel type book.
Okay, I gotcha.
It was a 3-star, I believe is what I gave it.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. I didn't even put my ratings down. Okay, anyways, I was like really procrastinating on this one. Not because I didn't like it. I was just life. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. There's so much to this book, and so you want to get into it?
Okay, so the book we're talking about today is Wolf by Hugh Howey. This is our sci-fi pick.
Yes, sci-fi. Yes.
And it's a lot. So
there's just a lot crammed-packed into one book, and I know it's a trilogy. So I'm like, what? But
they had to set up everything.
I know they had to set up everything, and yes, it was a lot. I have like 5 pages worth of notes.
I have like 5 pages of type notes and 3 of handwritten.
See, I always handwrite first and then go. But this one I didn't have time, so I just typed as I went. I think the one thing that I really found interesting before we get into the book itself is that it's not an official banned book, but it is banned in certain schools. So it's not on the national, .gov website of banned books, but just because of some of the politics and stuff in it, that's kind of why it's going towards that way.
Yes, and this is very politically heavy, and it's,
yes,
I think it was a good one for this month.
Yeah, it actually was pretty good. I thought that was kind of interesting because I was doing research and I was like, okay, so is there a list? Because it's like you can look at it and they're like, oh, this one's banned for this reason, this one, but like official list.
Well, with our government currently,
yeah,
and things getting taken down,
yes,
website-wise, I don't know how long the national banned book list is going to be up.
Yes, no, I 100% agree with that. And I was trying to put together a scrapbooking page, and that's kind of where I found it, because it popped up I'm like, wait, is it? That would be great to talk about. I mean, it's great to talk about, but also terrible to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then I got into more research, and then I found the house.gov list of whatever and why it's I'm like, okay, all right, this is a long list already.
Yeah.
I liked one of the titles was banned lists of books, and I'm like, you wrote a book on that and it's banned. I wonder why. So yeah, I mean, I had a lot of other stuff, but more of it was just about the book itself, so I'm good to go in.
Okay.
If you are.
Do you want to start part-wise? Because I know the first couple parts don't really, they're separate characters, and then it goes to the main story.
So we probably need to start out with that, just because that leads into where the book goes into currently.
Yes.
So I think I counted 5 different point of views from the book standpoint, even though it doesn't tell you, hey, this is who's talking, but I think there's 5 different ones. And Holston, which is the sheriff, the mayor, Jules, which is one of the main characters, Bernard, and I'm just gonna call him Lucas because that's spelled with a K, but it's Lucas.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the main ones I found. I don't think there was any other ones.
Well, there was Walker down.
Was Walker?
Yes, but he was in part 5.
Okay, yeah.
Sheila, I think is what her name was. But Shirley.
Okay, yeah, okay. I totally forgot. Those were towards the end of the book. Not throwaway characters, but important characters nonetheless. Okay. So it kind of starts out with the first chapter. It talks about, Holston is the... Holston.
Holston.
I'm gonna have a horrible time with that. I'm just just gonna call him Sheriff One. No, I'm just kidding. Sheriff Holstus, and kind of talking about how his wife, Allison, got sent to the cleaners 3 years ago.
Yes.
And that's kind of where it opens with him, like, going about his business, and then...
Okay, and then we find a little bit more about that he once let out, because he goes, I want to go out. And we're like, okay, well, what does that mean?
Yes.
Because we don't know anything about this world.
Yeah. He kind of gets his affairs in order and puts himself in the cell, locks him in, gets his deputy, and he's like, I want to see the outside. And that's like the number one cardinal rule. If you say you want to leave, they will not force you to stay there in the silo. I'm like, shit, did we get into that already?
Yes. Well, it's called the Silo trilogy, so they are in a silo.
Yes.
Which is more, from my imagination, more an underground bunker.
Yeah.
With 150 levels.
Yeah, I still wasn't for sure. Like, I read this entire book, and I still was not for sure of how many levels there were. Because there's like, it goes down to this level, and then, 140 is kind of the lower deep levels, and then it's like, that's the end. What is it? And I'm like, fucking just tell me, I need to know.
So you have the upper, middle, and lower level. The lower level has mechanical, which we'll get into more. Upper level is more like the head sheriff, political parties, IT,
the cafeteria, and then level 100 is more of like, I would consider a mall, like a marketplace. And I don't know about y'all, but like walking down a fucking 50 flights of stairs. Let's just do 50. If we're on level 50 and we want to go shopping, that's a whole day event, bro.
But I think they had they had multiple farms and multiple things for
I think there was levels.
But there was one IT and one mechanical.
Yes, and then there was hydroponics. Is that how it's
hydroponic? It's plants.
Yeah, plants. Sorry. I think there's one main station and then the subdivisions. That's kind of how I see it.
And then they have porters that run up and down stairs taking messages.
I can only imagine their knees. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking, dang, I feel old. I don't even think I can do 10 flights of stairs. Having to do this for a living. I need that money.
Because they have computers, but they also, they're restricted on their computers.
Yes, which is...
they can't send messages to each other without it costing them.
Yes, I actually put in my notes as old school cell phones. Text messages you had to send, so short, otherwise it was free, otherwise you had to pay for every character. That's kind of how it is in the society where they didn't really want people to
communicate with each other.
Other than the people that need to. Like the mechanical, or...
Kind of.
The mechanics, and stuff like that. But yes, it's, and of course, IT holds all the power, which I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah. And they have all the servers.
Yeah.
Which,
oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's a lot. Yeah, we're divulging. Sorry.
Let's get back to Holston.
Yes, Holston. Okay. So it kind of opens up with... He kind of decided to leave, his wife. I almost said mother.
Yes.
His wife. Because he felt like that came out of nowhere. She kind of unprogrammed I want to say a hard drive. Or some kind of what we consider a hard drive.
In IT. Yeah. So she was, and then she started digging more into...
Mm-hmm. They found a missing hard drive.
The servers and... the servers before the uprising.
Yes, which was 140 years ago, 100-ish.
I don't know.
It's very the timelines are not the greatest. Because they want to kind of keep the uprising from happening, and that's the main goal of obviously the mayor and stuff like that and the IT. So Holston is he's like, I think I figured out why. Like, I need to go.
Yeah. Because Allison said that she was going to come back for him.
Yes.
After the cleaning. Because she thought that... I think she saw the video before... The cleaning video before she went out to clean.
So I watched the first season, or the first episode of the TV show, which gives a little bit more in depth, and I spoiled myself. But I'll go into that in a little bit later, that way, because we both read the book, and I want to make sure, like, from the book standpoint, this is what happened. And the show is, I don't want to say different, but it gives you more information on the get-go because of shows need to get that hook. Yeah. Books are like, you need to read that hook.
We're like, we're just going to give you little crumbs, and you're just going to sit here for 500 pages.
Yes. So, I'll kind of go on that, like, afterwards, just to kind of see the difference between the book itself and just the first episode. Yeah. That's all I watched.
Okay. So now we're into Holston cleaning. So that, because we got to kind of move it along.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Okay.
2 years.
Okay. So, do you want to go into what the cleaning is? That way we don't have to explain it again.
So, the cleaning is when they go outside and they have, like, cameras or sensors. They call them sensors, but I think they're more like cameras.
Yeah.
And they have to go and clean off the sensors so that the people inside the silo have a clear view of the outside world.
Yes. And it's kind of the view is only kind of important to the upper levels, because the people that are in the deeper levels
don't even get it.
No, they don't get it. And then, like, I don't know about you, but I don't want to climb up 140 flights of stairs just to see a dull outside world that's like gray and dungy and sandy and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's just not like the outside that we're used to. But since it's a constant on the upper levels, it's more of like a morale booster.
Yeah. So
Holston kind of is like, okay, well, I'm out. So the deputy, who's a little kind of older as well. No, the deputy's older than...
He's about the same age as the first mayor.
Yes. Which I want to say 60s.
Yeah, I think
it said, I just didn't care enough for it.
I think I wrote it down, but I don't know where that is in this notes.
Yes, okay. Yeah. I want to just shout out Game of Thrones, because don't pick a favorite person, because a lot of people died in it.
Well, yes.
I was not expecting as limited as the resources and limited at the number of people that many people died. Like, I was just like, okay, they got this, and then like the first 3 chapters, you're already down 3 people.
Yeah, the first 2 parts you're down at least 3 people, because you get Allison, Holston, and the mayor, and then later you get.
And then I think when that journey from them going down to above also lost people too. So there's already 5 deaths in the first, before we get a new sheriff. Part. Yeah. So,
so for the cleaning, they have to make these. IT makes these suits, and it's supposed to protect you from the outside world.
Yes. Like a hazmat suit is my best description.
Yes. But it doesn't have a view. It has a screen instead of an outside view.
A visor kind of has I would almost consider a sun visor, like sunglasses.
Yeah.
Sort of look to it, which is kind of important later. But yeah, so they go and clean the sensors, and that's the one job you have when you say you want to go outside.
Or you freak out, and then they have to send you outside like Allison did.
Yeah. No, she said... Yes.
Yes. She did.
Yes.
She had a freak out in the cafeteria, and then they took her.
Yes. You're right. You're right.
In the book.
In the book, yes, you're right. Yeah, I have to remember this. Okay. Yes, so it's more for people that they want banished, and it's good for morale for them to clean the censors off. And I didn't pick this up the first time I read it, or in the beginning of the book, where they clean it off with a wool steel pad.
Yeah.
I didn't get that until later, when some other things happen and you find out someone else that gets so I was a little late to the game of realizing the thought behind the title of the book.
So they get Holston ready. It takes 3 days to make the suit.
Yes,
what I gathered.
I almost feel like they like fabricate it like they would in like Star Trek, because they like make it fit to that person.
Yeah,
I guess would be the best like description. So yeah, it takes about 3 days for it to manufacture, and then during that, the silo is a whole celebration, which is
a little fucked up.
A little bit, yeah, a little backwards. But it's kind of, people want to see a newer view of the outside, maybe something they haven't seen before, or, you know, the kids that are growing up in Silo. So they kind of make it like a holiday.
Yeah.
Right?
Kinda,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I'm thinking this right. Okay. So it leads to, I mean, the first couple chapters, just like, oh my God. Holston is like, okay. He's like, okay, well, we're leaving. And it kind of does a little bit of flashback of, you know, his marriage with Allison and how they were entered in a lottery to
have children,
because obviously limited space. I totally understand that. No explanation needed. So he's in the airlock.
Yeah.
And he leaves, the airlock closes, and like whoosh, fire to burn all the like toxic whatever that's outside, which they still didn't explain in the book.
They fill the airlock with some kind of gas to
ignite it,
yeah. Well, I also think it's to like purify that space.
Yeah.
Because they don't want the air from the outside to get in.
So obviously something's killing the people that are going out, because, you know, in the screen, you can see the bodies of the people that were sent to clean.
Which is kind of fucked up, because then you're like, oh, we want this view, but then there's like dead people.
Yes, and I was expecting more.
And people that you know, too.
Yes. So obviously he goes to where his wife is, because his wife is like kind of almost by this, like, I want to say it looks like a dead barren tree from the description of the book. And so she kind of like almost makes it over this hill, you know, because you can't see over the hill. And she just kind of crumbles and dies. Like, dang.
Yeah.
And so everyone really liked the sheriff, and they are I can't remember who makes it. Is it IT that makes the suits?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Supply chain kind of, and IT. So they make the suit, and they're like, you know, we gave it our all. We gave you as much chance as we could.
Under the solution that they're actually good suits. But
yes.
We'll find this out.
Yeah. That's the bad part. So, you know, he cleans like every other person before them.
Because the visor shows something different than the screens inside.
Yes.
It shows like a green, prosperous world.
Yes. And that's what he wants. That's what his wife was trying to show him. And that's what he's trying to show the people that live there.
Yes.
Which is sad. And that's the first couple chapters. We're not even...
That's the first part of, like,
yes.
Part one of this is you get attached to Holston. You're like, oh, yes, he's a pretty cool guy. And then dead.
Yes. Oh my god. I was just like, why? Like,
and you feel bad for him because his wife died.
Yes. Like, and I think it took him a total of 3 years to kind of either get the courage up, or I don't know what his final decision was. Kind of.
So I think the first year he was kind of like waiting, and then the second year, it says that he was being a coward and that he didn't want to brave the outside. And then the third year, I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know.
Took that.
I'm not sure what changed. So The mayor her name is Jonas? Maria? It's Jonas? It's like John's, but with an A. Jonas? Oh, God, I'm horrible with names. Okay, so she's in the mayor. She's mayor by choice. They hold elections, but it's the people's vote. And so they're looking at replacements. Her and Deputy Marnson?
Yeah, the deputy. I always put it just the deputy.
Yes. And so there's only one sheriff in the silo of 150 some levels or whatever.
And then they have multiple deputies.
Yeah, kind of sporadic. I don't feel like it's like, oh, every 30 floors you have. No, it's just kind of, you get whoever's fucking closest.
Yeah.
So I would say, I think it's like, I want to say at least every like 40 levels there's some kind of sheriff or some kind of,
something, yeah.
But we digress. Okay, so the mayor and the deputy are like, okay, who the fuck are we going to get to, fill this position? So they decided
They have 3 candidates, I believe. Peter Billings is one.
Yes.
Jules or Juliet is the second one, and I don't remember who the third one is.
I think it was just kind of a filler.
Yeah.
He
wasn't important.
Yeah, no, it was, no. So they only know about Jules because of an investigation they had a year and a half before the sheriff died or went to cleaning. So they go down, Jules, suspected foul play of another mechanic down deep is what they really call it. And so they were really impressed with her intelligence, her character kind of. So they kept her in mind for the sheriff position. At least the deputy did.
Yeah, if ever they knew sheriff.
Well,
I think he knew it was coming. I think the deputy knew it was kind of coming.
And this is kind of this plays into a lot of the silo where nothing is permanent.
Yeah,
like you literally, you could be fine, but then go into the cleanings the next second. Like that's kind of the world that they're grown up in.
And they're very hush-hush about what they talk about. Because if you say anything bad about, like, the silo itself or cleaning, or you think something is strange, like the supply chain is giving you bad shit, they're like, oh, well, you shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah. And that's kind of where the porters come into play. They're like the spies, even though they, like, get paid for it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone knows they're spies, I guess. So this is how long it took them. 3 days, okay? 3 days just going down from the top level.
And they made stops.
Obviously, you have to make some stops, you get hungry, but, like, just, like, walking down the stairs, I don't feel like that should take 3 days, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, I would probably hate you, like, Anyways, 3 days?
I think going down the stairs in 3 days.
Perfectly acceptable. Upstairs,
you're gonna need a week and a half.
My question is, why is there not an elevator? Like,
because they want to make it harder for people to communicate and harder for people to get to where they need to go.
I hate it when you're more logical.
They want it to be sectioned off into groups.
Yes, I mean that is,
so they're not talking.
Yeah, and then of course that kind of goes into more of the limited power. Is it really useful to have an elevator?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they decide to go down, the mayor and the deputy, and there's always been an understanding. The pact is like the law. It's what rules you have to follow.
But not everybody knows about this law. I don't think the mayor knows about this law. I think just IT, the appointed IT person.
I mean, I think there's some kind of laws that IT shares with the mayor and stuff.
Yeah.
Or at least from my understanding, there's obviously some things IT doesn't talk about because they're the bad guys unless it's illicit.
Well, not all of IT.
No, like, not all of IT, but traditionally speaking. No, I'm just kidding. No. So yeah, they kind of stop at level 30 to talk to Bernard, who's head of IT. And he's like, here you go, I got a contract. I want this Peter guy. And she's like, the mayor's like, I mean, I still want to go down. Talk to
She
Jules.
basically said that she didn't want Peter because
Yeah.
Peter was going to be like a judge or something, and that she wanted Jules because she thought it was the best candidate for the job.
Yeah. It was more of who they felt like they could trust. And Bernard was like, I want this guy because he's in my pocket. And then the mayor's like, I want this girl because I think she's going to be in my pocket, kind of thing. And so, like, the only way they can communicate is through wires and radio sound waves. So, and of course that costs money to use. But the secretary of the mayor was like, Jules, we want you. And she's like, I don't know why you came all the way down here.
And also, I want to point out that on the way down and the way up, the mayor and the deputy are sharing canteens of water.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes. And I kind of got the sense, and I think you probably did too, that the mayor was married at one point in time. Natural causes, he died, I think.
Possibly. They could have died.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Her husband died. And the deputy was his best friend. And so, for, I don't know, loyalty, they never decided to be together. And so this kind of reunites their it's not unrequited because they liked each other. Kind of just their spark of like, hey, we're getting older, I want comfort kind of thing. So, and it's easier to just swipe something off someone else's back than stopping, pulling your bag off, getting your water. So they kind of rekindle that as they truck their way down, all the way down. And I commend her, like, being 60 and being like, yeah, we'll walk all the way down. I'm like, no. I'm just thinking, I'm like, I couldn't do it. You would have to be fit. Like, there's just no other way.
Yeah.
You would have to. So yeah, they kind of go down, and then, so they stop at the IT levels, and then they kind of keep going until they reach down to the lower 140s.
Yes.
Woo.
Which is where Jules works.
Yes.
She works on fixing, like, the generators and everything that runs the silo, but not necessarily IT, because I feel like IT is on a different power level.
Yes, yeah. They kind of have their own power. So, I would say, like, the water pipes, I mean, literally anything to keep the place moving besides computers would be the best description. And she's damn good at her job. Like, so I think she's like 30, what is she, 38? Jules is?
I don't know. I didn't write down anybody's ages.
Okay. No worries. She's in her 30s. I want to say 36. Anyways, moving on. So they kind of go down, and they actually made better time than they thought, and, I'm drawing a blank here.
So they kind of meet some of the people down deep. So this is where you meet Walker. This is where you meet Knox. You meet Shirley, Sheila, whatever her name is.
Shirley, Mark, Mullane, head of supply. Yes.
And okay,
that's about it.
So those are our main down deep players.
Yes.
And Jules, obviously. And Jules says she doesn't want to be sheriff. And the only way she's going to become sheriff is if they have a power holiday and fix everything down deep for the silo. Yeah,
so she was thinking more preventative care, or I guess, preventative maintenance, I should say, not care. Sorry, working healthcare. That was a slip up there. So yeah, she's thinking of more of like the generator sounds like absolute garbage, like gears grinding, and I can only imagine how loud that is.
The heat tape's falling off.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yes. So, she kind of barters and was like, I may be willing to do this if you can give me like a rolling holiday. Which, as they agree on.
Yes.
As the mayor and the deputy head back up, Jules was given a week like, hey, we'll see you in a week then.
And they power down some of, like,
the non-essential areas, and they kind of played off, or at least the mayor says they're going to play it off as post-cleaning
energy holiday.
Yeah, something like that. To make it sound better than, hey, we're just gonna
shut down things.
Yeah. And of course, that does not go over well with IT, because they're like, we need the servers.
But it doesn't power down IT, though, is the thing.
No, because they have their own source, of course. But I think it was more of a power trip.
Yeah.
It was like, well, you're not gonna do that again, kind of thing, you know?
Exactly.
So...
And then they stopped by IT for some reason on the way back up.
Yes.
I don't remember what that... I think it's just to tell him, Bernard, that...
Yes.
She's gonna be sheriff. Jules is gonna be sheriff.
Yeah, he was not very happy, because he was really wanting Peter to be there, because in his secession, or his thinking thoughts, that didn't make any sense. In his thought process, there we go, I like that better. Bernard was like, Peter will be the sheriff, and then he'll be a shoo-in for the mayor, and that's going to be in his pocket.
Yes.
And that's why Bernard was like, yeah, Peter. And the mayor was like, yeah, that's not happening.
We think this girl will do a better job. Also, it's supposed to be that the head of IT, which is Bernard, can't be the mayor. This is stated previously.
Yes.
That'll come up.
Yeah, heads can't. Yes, there's some kind of conflict of interest. Obviously, that makes a little sense. But they've always signed off on everything because IT, I want to say has the final say so, but they hold a lot of power and decision making.
Yes.
And that's kind of anyone that's going to be vetted for any kind of head position has to be checked on by IT.
Yeah.
Which is kind of creepy when there's no computers. How are you getting information on these people? Anyways.
Well, they have computers. It's just
yes.
not like...
It's just, people don't know really how to store, I don't want to say store stuff, but...
I kind of picture the computers as the big freaking MacBooks.
Yes. That, 100%. And obviously, years and years of, you only do this job, and you shadow under someone that has done this job forever, so they're more ignorant to computers because only IT messes with anything IT related.
Yes. And there's not a lot of, like, exchange between the levels.
Yes.
So, like, if you're in the middle level, you're not going to go down deep unless you're Jules, and that's where you decide to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we didn't really talk about her dad, but I don't feel like that's really important to the story.
No.
Okay. She has a dad. Moving on. The mayor and the deputy kind of stop and get, like, a character reference from the father, who's on, like...
He's on the nurse wing. I don't know which...
the levels are really not dictated pretty well, but
he's somewhere in the middle.
He's a doctor of some sort. And they kind of get a, like, hey, why is she down there and you're up here, and you guys haven't, like, visited each other, you know, and there's some trauma with the mother. That's kind of really all you need to know. And so the mayor and the deputy get kind of into a tizzy fit with Bernard, because Bernard's just like, you fucking didn't listen to me. So he's just like, he has his, like, shadow. No, he doesn't have a shadow. I think his, like, head of security or someone underneath him that doesn't have the power, like his shadow would. Like job shadow.
Yeah.
Like trader.
IT security.
Yeah, it was just a weird, and so of course, they fill up the canteens and they head out. And the mayor is kind of on the fence of stopping to see her dad again, Julie's dad. But she's, like, getting older, and, it's a long way up.
And she's mad, so she's trucking it up them stairs.
Oh, yeah, she's mad. And the deputy's like, we can slow down a little bit, it's fine. But, so she kind of, water from the back, and he does the same, and then she's like, man, I really gotta fucking pee. I want to pee myself. So they kind of make the decision to stop again at the level whatever, 20-ish, makes sense now, would be like level 20-ish.
Yeah.
And then you find out that she died.
The canteen was poisoned.
Was poisoned.
It was the deputy's canteen.
And the mayor susses that out before she dies. And I think it takes the deputy a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So
I also feel like the deputy, I don't know if he dies, but I don't know if it is like he killed himself or if Bernard killed himself. But I got the feeling that like he was staying on for Jules to kind of like be introduced to being a sheriff and get.
Yeah. It was the mayor kind of sussed out before the water thing that the deputy didn't want to be the sheriff because he wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
And it was a conflict of interest that, have the two law kind of people, I guess, technically, because, there's only one sheriff and there's only one mayor, but that level of power being in the same relationship.
They didn't want corruption in the silo.
Yeah. So she's like, has hope and is, excited for this new chapter. And then she realizes that they were trying to kill him, the deputy. And then she, you find out that she's dead.
Yeah.
And of course, deputy is kind of heartbroken about it. I would be too. At this point, you don't really have a lot of friends. Obviously, as you can tell, the older you are, the harder it is to get around. So you either are very stationary or...
See, that's why his death, he ends up, Jules finds him hanging. Hanged. Whatever.
Yeah.
The correct one is.
Some things happened and he decided to off himself.
See, that's why I didn't know if he was killed. Because there's later ones where it's definitely this person was killed or if he killed himself.
Yes. And it doesn't tell you that, but I believe, just from the context of the books, or the book I've read, sorry, I should say. I have to change that because that could be done later. He slipped a note to Jules because she was going to investigate the sheriff's death before she became sheriff, as trying to figure out why now, after 3 years, did he decide to leave?
Yeah.
So that she kind of goes into that deep rabbit hole, and she's only been the sheriff for maybe 2 days at this point. She's up there at the top. They're trying to figure out the mayor situation, and then the deputy doesn't come in one morning, and she's like, I need to see what's up with this. And so then she finds him, he hung himself, but I think he actually did. I think he was so broken out because he said it was supposed to be me.
Yeah.
And
see, in that context is why I was like, did he actually do it or did somebody else?
I questioned that in the beginning, but then after Jules found that note, and then she had a IT friend that he was a mechanic, shadowed in under Walker, I think, which is the mechanic shop.
He's a tinkerer.
That's the best term.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of that. That's a great term. Anyways, I'm just swiping that from you, Rachel.
He just does a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then fixes random shit.
Yeah, and to have the mind just to be able to do that with no actual instructions, that's amazing. I couldn't do that.
That's how my brother is. He can take things apart and then put them back together and they work.
What a punch him. Anyways. So there's 2 deaths already, and then like I said, there's some other deaths, I think non-related to murdering.
Yeah. So Jules is kind of investigating Holston.
Mm-hmm.
And she meets Lucas. He's doing a map of the stars. Lucas comes in later.
Yeah, I wrote his name down, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a throwaway character. He was not.
He was not, no.
He was not a throwaway character.
And then Bernard shows up and kind of, takes over power. He is the acting
mayor. Which,
And head of IT.
Yes, because, he can't do both. So he's like, well, until we get the election set up,
and Peter gets brought in to be the deputy.
To be the deputy now. So Bernard kind of got his way, as, he wanted someone in there that is going to be under his thumb. So he's the deputy now, and then Jules is the sheriff, for as short-lived as that is.
Yeah. And then while she's investigating, she sends something down to Scotty in IT,
who used to be a mechanic, tinkerer, and they thought he was intelligent enough to do IT, with computers.
Yeah. And then Bernard shows up to... No. He kind of, threatens her a little bit, and then he goes away. But then Scotty sends her a message about she needs to come down to IT right away. Mm-hmm. And Scotty tells her that in Holston's computer there was
so much data.
Yeah. There was a program for a screen that was 8 by 2.
8 by 2.
And
I wrote that for some reason.
I wrote that down too.
I was like, yeah, it's important. It was not important, guys.
It was important,
the
though.
size was, and the pixels, so obviously, computer screens are made out of pixels. And the reason why the sensors are really important is it's been a long time, from my understanding, at least 200 years, down them living in the silo, from my understanding of their history. And so, pixels go out. So, there's kind of, small, not noticeable to the naked eye, but, after there's so many bunched up together...
There's going to be a big white spot.
There's problems. We're not there yet, but that's kind of the importance of the sensors and the cleaning. So
he tells her about the screen, and it's weird, but it's not anything that's, out there, I guess. Yeah. That would make the old sheriff go to cleaning.
Yes. Yeah. Because the sheriff was not a computer guy. And Jules isn't either. She's like, it looks like gibberish. And I'm like, that's what I would say. It looks like gibberish. I have no idea what this is. So that's kind of why she gets help from an outside source. And so when Scotty sends that message, you need to come fucking down here now. 33 levels later. Sorry, I just can't imagine running down those stairs. So Julie kind of bullies her way into the IT because she's the sheriff. So you get they have I don't know,
clearance, but they don't have total clearance.
Yes, because IT is more of a
its own ecosystem.
Yeah, it has its own thing. So she kind of bullies her way into meeting Scotty, and Scotty's like, did anyone see you? Duh, bro. Duh.
Yeah.
I don't know what you expected. But he's just freaking out because he's like, oh my god, you uncovered some shit, and I'm like, I need to get out.
He's like, send me back to mechanics.
Yes. He was like, if you can do it, I need to go. And so that level of freaked out kind of freaks Julie out.
Yes.
And so she kind of makes her way back up. And she kind of has this kinship with Lucas, who, as she's doing all this investigation, it's really late at night, and then she forgets to eat. And then he's there, because Lucas also works in IT, but he has an interest in astrology, which is great. I don't know how you could say
I don't know what the point in...
I'm not, yeah.
But whatever.
It made him happy, and that's all that matters, okay? It's all that matters. And then, so, talk about the programming. It's a computer program for color. And Scotty's like, I don't understand why you need that much color. And then that's when the pixels, the 8x2 screen is important, because that's what is in the cafeteria?
No. It's the suit screen. So they see the...
You're right.
This beautiful
land.
Yeah,
I did knew that. I knew that. Damn it. Anyways, so I think, Does it say? Did it say how Scott died?
It was supposed to look like it was a suicide.
Right, but
it definitely wasn't a suicide, which is why there was some confusion with the deputy.
Yeah. So the deputy arrested Julie because on suspicion of she was the last one to see Scotty or some shit, some bullshit reason. And Bernard's like, I'm going to run for mayor and I'm going to do this forgive and forget election so you can go back to your job.
Yeah.
And that's not.
So she gets sent down to mechanical and she's there for all of maybe one day.
Yeah.
And she talked to Walker about what Scotty found.
Because they know Scotty. Obviously, he was a tinkerer down there, and he actually did shadow under Walker. And Walker's like, I pushed him to take that because I thought, it'd be the best thing for him.
Yeah.
So he kind of feels guilt about it, and Julie and he's an older gentleman, and she kind of goes through this theories of, like, what's happening, and, I don't, like...
She knows something's up with IT, but she doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, so she's giving her, like, theories to him, and, that's when you find out that the whole reason Bernard didn't want Jules to be the sheriff is because she stole from IT.
Yes.
Some heat tape that when they got their supply, she swiped from IT's as well, and then they realized that the supply that they've been given was shit. Was like manufactured to fail at, I don't know what time limit, but it was manufactured to fail no matter what. Which is kind of gives you more of insight to who holds the true power. Mm-hmm. The breadcrumbs, like you said earlier.
And and then she gets arrested. And I don't know why she got arrested. I think just because something on her computer with Holston.
Yeah.
Like she had the program on there.
Yeah. She had forbidden information, I guess is the best way to put it. And then she bullied her way into the IT. And so he just wanted her gone. So he's like, well, we just had a cleaning, but we need another one. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like a week. And then they have another cleaning.
Yes. And another reason why the cleanings are important is when they send someone out, then the people that are in sancted relationships get to be put into the lottery to try to make another child.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh my god, there's so much stuff here. Okay. So yeah, Julie's been banished.
She's been sent to cleaning.
Yes.
Okay.
Which, 3 days later, they have to build the suit. So she's, like, making her way up the silo. And they're kind of, like, I wouldn't want to say parading her. Because they're like, we stop in at this level at the deputy here. And then the next level at the next deputy.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're just doing it to parade her. Be like, this is what happens when you don't, you fuck with IT kind of
when
thing.
you, like, talk out of turn.
Yes. Yeah. That's a very good way to put it. So,
which is scary for what's going on now, but
yes,
whatever.
It hits a little too close to home. It really does.
Yeah.
So Lucas kind of comes down to like the lower levels, to kind of be like, but I loved you. Like I just felt like that was so.
That was in the jail the holding cell at the upper level.
I think it was the lower level, and then...
Because I don't think he ever went to the lower level.
I think he did, if I remember correctly. He visited her in some...
It was the holding cell where the main sheriff's office. Yes. I'm almost positive
I'm almost positive. It's here. Came to visit her, that's all I got. Okay. Okay,
because they had a screen in the holding cell.
We're going to agree to disagree because I don't remember.
I'm almost positive.
I felt like he went down just because it was so early on to her banishment. But I could be wrong. I'm leaving that on the floor that I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But it's just a weird, like, when they were looking at the stars, they had, like, kinship.
Yeah.
And I think she wanted more, and he wanted more, but I felt it was more of he wanted her.
Yes.
Not, like...
Well, she was kind of tore up still because of her dude, that we don't know the name of yet, died.
Yes.
Because that's what they were investigating.
Yes.
And they weren't, like, a true couple in the eyes of the silo.
Yes, you have to... That's why I specifically said sanctioned. You have to be... I don't know, they didn't really talk about the process, but I feel like you have to declare, I'm with this one person and one person only. You can't have flings, you can't be like with this one and then that one. It has to be sanctioned, which kind of plays into the lottery system, which that might be where they were going with, but I can't say anything because it's based on the show. So, coming back to that later, okay.
So anyway, she's sent to cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas is kind of heartbroken because she kind of like doesn't talk to him wherever they are in the silo.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not depend on that. Yes.
And then she gets sent out to cleaning. Lucas works in IT, by the way. That'll be important later.
Mm-hmm.
She's sent out to cleaning. And then she realizes that the screen that Scotty told her about was the screen
that she's currently looking at. Because it's the visor helmets. It's the program that when the people that go to the cleaning, that little visor part shows them, shows the, oh my god, this is so hard. The person that goes out to clean, it shows them a false view.
So that they actually clean instead of, like, just giving up and, like...
Yes. Because...
And they're also sewed kind of into the suit. Like, there's not an easy way to get out of these suits.
Yeah, no. So, kind of, Walker kind of sends her one last message. And was like... The supply is good. Kind of. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't understand what that means until she's... I feel like in the airlock or out of the airlock when she's like realizing it's all a fucking sham.
Yeah.
Like, and you kind of get that breadcrumbs in the beginning with the sheriff. He's just like, it's fake. And that's all. That's it. Chapter ends. And I'm like, what do you mean it's fake? What do you mean?
I need answers.
Yes. And it doesn't come until later. So you're just like, you're already on edge. You're already like, okay, something's not right. You already know people have more power than they should, and you're kind of getting the breadcrumbs of the author, which I like, but still I need it.
It rushes you through the book because you're like, I need answers.
Yes, I need it. So she does not do the cleaning because she's like, fuck y'all.
Because she's like, there's no point in cleaning because she knows everything's false.
Yes, because like what I went into earlier, that the sheriff, I'm going too far. So, you know, there's bodies on the screen itself. The visor does not show the bodies.
No.
And that's kind of where Jules is like, she's like, I know there should be the sheriff with his wife there. Because yes, the suit that they did manufacture for the sheriff did make him last a little bit longer. Not really in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
He made it to his wife. No, he actually looked over the hill.
Mm-hmm.
But then went back to his wife because that's where he wanted to be.
Yes.
That's so sad. Anyways, sorry. Yeah, so she didn't clean. And Bernard is like sitting in the cafeteria drinking his juice because it says juice, not coffee. Juice. And he's just like, yeah, I'm good. She didn't clean. And he, like, bolts it.
Like, he's like, she didn't clean, and then she's over the fucking hill. She's like, oh, no.
Oh, yeah, he's, like, full panic, and he is supposed to be an older 50s, 60s, older gentleman as well. Like, he's, like, trying to think of, like, future who's going to replace him. That's kind of why he wanted to run for mayor and have a new head of IT.
Mm-hmm.
So he like books it down like minus 30 some levels, and goes into the server. You find out that there's a hidden server room, more stairs. Just it's a vertical ladder instead of like a staircase, and that leads into a secret room full of books. This is where it starts to get a little like, oh shit, some shit's happening.
And then, okay, so he's in this server, the secret server room. Secret server. And he calls out somebody, like, he calls on this, like, device. I thought of it as, like, those phone operator, like, things, like in the 50s and 60s where they had to plug it in.
Yes. With a little, like, headset, with a microphone on it. Yes. That's that's pretty accurate.
That's why
I
think it was a little bit before the 50s.
And this, I think you're right. But this is kind of where he's like, Silo 1, this is Silo 18, and you're like, ball drop, like, damn.
Like, wait a minute.
Like, what do you mean, Silo 1 to Silo 18? So then you find out, oh shit, this is a lot bigger than just one silo. Just one civilization.
Yes.
I guess. So, you at least know there's 18 of them now. Anyways. And then that's when you find out about Jules' lover, George. Okay, I was like, I think that's his word. And that's really all. Like,
yes.
George.
It, like, ends that part is like, Silo 1, this is Silo 18, and then it's like, mic drop.
Yes. And so then Bernard kind of talks about where Julie is from and how, like, gross it is because oil, mechanicry. I didn't say that right. But just, like, the grease and grime and the smell, like, I can only picture going into, like, like a garage.
Yeah.
Of, like, you know what that smell is. And he's just like, I'm too good for that kind of bullshit. Like, or at least that's how I picture he is.
I pictured mechanics as, like, the belly of a boat. Like, they have the big things that, like, churn, and they're, like...
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. So Bernard just has, like, already thinks he's, like... I mean, he is top of the food chain. I mean, there's not really much more for him to go. But, then that's kind of talks about George and how he's more important in the TV show, or at least you know why he's more important. So I'll get to that later if we have the time.
Well, later in the books they say that the reason why George died is because he wanted to expand the silo. He wanted to make it go out or down or whatever.
Yeah. Yes, that is accurate. And that could be later in the show, which I didn't watch. And then I spoiled myself for that one. I was so pissed. But we digress. So Lucas is kind of heartbroken because I'm sorry, I'm going too far. Bernard,
about that.
Yeah. Bernard's pissed. He's like running down and talking about the silo. And then Julie figures out that Walker called it every motherfucking favor that motherfucker had.
Yeah.
And he's like, anything that IT puts on that suit, you take that out, you put a mechanic part in it.
Yes.
And that's where you kind of find out that they're manufacturing these
faulty suits.
Yeah. Which is just fucked up. Come on. And so, like, I want to hear your thoughts on when Julie, like, goes over the hill. What do you... I feel like it was so much, I didn't really get a great description of what.
So, for what I thought she saw is, like, she's on top of the hill. She sees a dilapidated city in the background. And then she kind of goes, like, she looks over the other way from the city. And she sees these little, like, divots.
Okay.
For each of the silos.
Okay.
At least two of them.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's kind of how I kind of pictured it as, like, this big dome. But I didn't know if it was fake or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Since, like, the visor was fake, I'm like, is this really the Earth now? Versus, or is it just like they're in a big dome and they're all underground? I still didn't get that. You know what I mean? Like, because it doesn't tell it in the book, but I think you're more accurate that it is the city and they're just kind of like divots as to you can tell, like, certain silos.
Yes.
Okay. I just didn't get it. the book let me down with the description in there.
In that part. Everything else.
Yes. And it's probably not really all that important because, you know, there is so much more that you need to know or need to reevaluate. Just,
well, he has to build this from, like, the ground up or the ground down, depending on how you live.
I like that, yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's kind of, I was like, kind of, not really, like, so that's when you kind of find out that everything's fake. So, besides the screen looking outside, that's the outside.
Yeah.
And that's why they have to create the computerized version in the helmet, so, because they've never seen so much colors, like, at all.
It's kind of like a psychology trick, like, it tricks your brain into thinking that everything is all right.
Yes, and you're like, I need to show people, I need people to know, and that's why, because they talk about people, like, that go out to clean or, like, are banished to actually, like, don't want to go out themselves. They're like, they always stop. They always go back and clean. And now you know why. It's because it's a fucking trick. It's all fake. And I'm like, argh!
But Jules doesn't clean, and she goes over the hill.
Yes.
And she makes her way to another silo.
Yes.
But on her way to this other silo, she sees bodies everywhere.
Oh my god. Bodies in suits like you wouldn't believe. I can only just imagine the sea of people.
Yeah.
And some of them that she steps on are more broken down, like as like organic materials themselves, and so there's kind of like dust and like falling down, and so she finally she's in panic mode because she's like, okay, Walker gave me this time, I need to use this time,
yes,
because I don't know how much I have. And it doesn't really go on to what the environment is toxic wise. It's just gonna kill you. And I'm not sure if that's radiation. I'm not sure if it's some kind of toxin in the air. I assume it's later on in the series.
I think it's like a toxin. I don't think it's radiation, because if it's radiation,
the suits the suits would help, but
radiation doesn't kill you right away.
It's not instant. Depending on the source. Like if it's a really, really hot source, and I use that term as radioactive source.
Well, like a Chernobyl incident.
It would burn you from the inside out, but you would be seeing stuff on the outside.
Yes.
So it's something you breathe. So some kind of toxin. So she's just like, I need to fucking go. So then she finds the silo, and it's still kind of cracked open with a bodies. It's like really like woo. So she kind of gets into the airlock, and she's a mechanic, so she's like, okay, how can I get in? How can I do this? And so she manages to get in there, seal it back up, right?
Yes. From the inside of the new silo.
And this is the part where it gets fuzzy and hazy to me, because she's like she can't get out of the suit because it's all like taped down with the heat tape and secured, because obviously you want to give the person as much chance. So they were just like wrapping her up like a fucking mummy.
Yeah, like they were. I think this part is supposed to be like not really coherent because she's running out of oxygen, she's panicking, she's like,
and you feel that, and I like even talking about it, I'm like, I can feel her panic. Like it's like very well written. Amazing. So I kind of thought. I just want to bring this up because I thought it was hilarious, and I even asked like an actual like nuke med tech. I'm like, can you explain this to me? So she, it's the same. It's the silo's the same layout. She kind of figures that out pretty early on, and so she kind of goes to the cafeteria, and she's like, I need to get out, and but before that, she has to do something. Like you can't just like take off a suit after being in the toxic air.
Yeah.
So she like gets into the cafeteria and decontaminates with spoiled soup.
I don't know how well that would work.
I'm not really sure, but the consistency or the drive to do that would be, you have to do something. Mm-hmm. Like it might not do anything, but if you just come out and
also,
you touch the suit, you could breathe in.
Yes.
So I kind of get that. Like it's not the best thing to do, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Well, I kind of got the impression that the top level was already contaminated. Like, because the airlock was closed, but
It's like stale. Like she talks
Yeah.
about like the staleness of it. I can kind of see that because she's like, I need to go lower, and I'm like, but why? Why are we going lower? I'm like, but why? So yeah, I kind of get that feel too. But I'm not 100% certain on that.
yeah.
Just not.
And then she goes lower. She figures out, she goes into IT for some reason.
Because it's the only one that still has power.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Because you find out, obviously, everyone fled. Well,
Everyone is dead, she thinks.
yes. Yes.
I Yoda spoke that, but whatever.
She
She thinks everybody's dead.
Yes, and it is kind of like fucking creep. Like, coming into, leaving a silo where it's full of life and going into, like, this, like, broken down, very dark, dingy version of it, that's kind of creepy in itself.
Yeah.
And so, like, after the soup incident, she finds a knife and she just cuts herself out of the fucking suit because, like, she can't, like, obviously, I'm thinking, like, astronaut, you can't fucking move a lot of your fingers with the heavy duty gloves, and so she's just like, I'm gonna start cutting myself out. Like, I don't understand the whole, like, she took the butt of the knife and hit the thing, and I'm like, I don't know.
She wanted to get the helmet to pop off, I think.
I know, but I'm like, I would have fucking probably done the other end by accident, because I'm like, she's out of air, like I was just thinking, I'm like, all the stuff that could have gone wrong. So yeah, and then it kind of goes back to the silo at that point.
Yes. This is the start of where it, like, flips back and forth every
Yes.
chapter
Yeah.
to different perspectives. And just a second. Continue talking. I'll be right back. I'm blinded.
So yeah, so we kind of have to go into, this is where it does a lot of back and forth. So, it starts out back to the silo where she's from, and Walker, he's older, he doesn't leave his workshop, and he leaves his workshop, which is like a huge deal, because everyone's like, Walker, what are you doing? Like, something's burning down or what, like, and, so he kind of tells them what he did to the suit. He's like, I called in every fucking favor I had. He's like, I don't have any other favors to give. And you kind of having to do that, I mean, with limited resources, like, they don't even cut wire ties, okay? Because they can be reused. So obviously you want to reuse anything and everything that you can. Repurpose.
Which, from me reading it, like, I was thinking, okay,
But how do they get all these
so you have
sets and-
limited supplies,
Mhm.
because there's no way they have manufacturing somewhere. Like, they have animals and they grow things, but, like, you don't get,
Yeah,
like, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was like, well, it has to be some kind of fabricator where, like, and as long as you have the organic materials,
You can make it,
yeah, kind of like, I mean, a lot of space-themed things do that, but it's not really said. That's kind of what I was like, that's how I'm taking it, because I don't know how you would just randomly get a supply of heat tape. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So that's the only thing I can think of. And if they make the suits built to the person, there has to be some component to that.
I just don't know in this world how they're getting supplies. Like, they have supplies.
Like new supplies.
Yes.
So, and it's kind of, I would say, the upper to the lower levels, like, is like the rich, the middle class, and the poor. That's kind of how I took it, because the mechanics are like, yeah, I mean, but they barter. I mean, they don't have access to more stuff than they would at the top.
I took it more of, like, the people that have power are at the top, and then they go down.
Yeah.
You don't, like, mechanics, like, they have some say because they fix
they
the
fix
silo,
the stuff, yes.
but they're, like, the lowest.
Yeah.
Like, least important, I guess.
Yeah. And that's why I don't really understand why IT's in level 30 unless...
Because they have to have the secret server bunker.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, too. I mean, there's just... I mean, obviously, I'd probably get more answers if I read the 2nd, 3rd book.
Yes.
Which I probably will. I really actually did enjoy this. And I really like the 3-book thing where it has the staircase on the... I'm going to buy that anyways. At some point. So, yeah. So, this is kind of where Knox and his crew... After Walker kind of gives his, like, yeah, I helped her, like, what the fuck you guys do? Which I fucking loved. It's like, only one person, like, actually stood up. I mean...
He basically said that IT is up to something. Like, they're making these to fail.
And Knox, the head of mechanics, is like, oh, he's like, we... Then he realizes his talk and rallying the troops, like, damn, this is how the operation started.
Yep.
Like, woo! And then kind of before that, Bernard kind of takes Lucas under his wing, and he's like, you're gonna be my shadow, and he's like, oh, okay, yay!
Shows him the secret
like,
server
immediately, and then keeps him down there. And I think it was kind of alluded to, that's what Bernard's shadow did to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or his mentor, not shadow, I'm sorry. Was like, you're gonna be in this bunker until you understand everything and why we do the things we do. Mm-hmm. And that was like, I don't know about this.
The bunker has the Order and the Pact, which is a book that has, like, their laws and, like, what to do if certain things happen.
Yeah, like a Bible of some sort.
Yes. And then it also has books of, like, history.
Yes, I thought that was very interesting, where they just kind of hoarded knowledge, which
that's what
I know
certain people do.
Yes. So, like, the books and stuff that are in the silo are very very sacred, like they had, like, when the kids were looking at them, they were, like, in plastic covers to keep them preserved as well as they could, because
they only have children's books.
Yes. And, and of course children's books have, like, the sky is blue, and they're like, oh my god, as a kid, you're like, that's completely different, you know? Yeah. And that's kind of, like, where the psychological, the cleanings come in, and it's just, fuck, man, like, oh my god. And so, Lucas doesn't understand why Bernard suddenly wanted him to be his shadow. Yes. And so he's like, look at that book, go to this page. Because Lucas is like, well, what's wrong with no one cleaning? Like, we just had it done, like, not even a week ago. Or loose timeline, okay, loosely. Well, no, it had to be a little bit longer than a week. But anyways, not the point. There had been 3 years in between his wife's cleaning, Allison's cleanings, and the sheriff. And then, of course, the sheriff and now Julie, that time span's not the longest.
No.
So... so Lucas, like, opens up the book and goes, if this happens, go to this page, and there's only one line. It says, prepare for war. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Woo! Woo!
They're like, wait a minute. First of all, you're going to give me all this knowledge, and Bernard's bitch ass been hoarding this knowledge from everybody.
Yeah.
Because that's what the other silos and the people before him has done. He didn't question this, by the way. Always question things. Always.
Well, I mean,
it just, like, we're going to go to war because the citizens can't know anything. They can't suspect us of any foul play.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So, he leaves Lucas in the bunker. And he's like, I'll see ya. I gotta keep you safe because you're my next guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
and then IT kind of, This was the chapters that were like,
this is where a lot of shit happens.
They were building towards going to IT, and then they attack IT. Knox dies. Mark dies.
Everyone fucking dies. Knox dies. The head of supply dies. We already know they two died.
Yes.
Knox's shift leader, Mark.
Yes.
Died, but his wife Shirley did not. As of yet, I don't know. I don't know the future. So yeah, I mean,
and then
hits on both sides, really.
Yes.
And of course, since mechanics, they are like, we can build guns. It's not a problem.
Yes.
Because it's always ever been only one gun, supposedly. And that's the sheriff has it because he's the one law, or the one. Yeah, he's the law. Yeah. And so, of course, the mechanics, I love it. They build bombs and shit. And that, the only way to get into IT is through, this gate that you have to, kind of be buzzed into.
Yeah.
For my, feel of it. And so they just destroy the damn gate. And, so this goes on, and it's, 3 weeks later, and it finally goes back to Jules. War's still going. Jules is still trying to find a fucking way to get out. She meets the only one person that was alive as of right now in the bunker. Or, I'm sorry, in the silo.
Silo 17.
Silo 17. Which Jules is from Silo 18. If we didn't make that clear. So, and he names himself Solo because he's been alone
since he's 15.
34 years. I cannot even imagine being alone. And of course he's like, I don't know, some shit happens and I just chalk it up to I'm crazy, because you would have to.
And he doesn't know how, things work. He doesn't know how the phone in the secret bunker works. He knows where the secret bunker is, though.
Yes.
That's where he's staying.
Yeah, his dad was, a plumber, head of plumbing or something. I don't know, somehow involved in the whole issue, and he scored him away in the bunker. And that's how he survived. And he really didn't know how to fix or really...
Yeah, and the food, the food level, the grower area where they grow their food, is on a light timer, so it pops on and off, so he doesn't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
He's not fixing anything in mechanics. Everything's dark.
Yes.
Except for emergency green lights.
Which is kind of creepy, eerie. So yeah, I can kind of see,
But can you imagine just how dark inside of the silo would be?
It would be... I couldn't even... I mean, you would obviously get used to the darkness at some point. But, he's 50 at this point, and, no running water. He doesn't really even know how to cook, which I'm not even sure how you do that. Because it's Jewel kind of takes him under her wing and was makes him her shadow, really.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh yeah, I'll help you. What are we working on next? And, which I think is so super cute for someone at that age to be like, I have a purpose again, being alone for so long. And Joel's like, yeah, we have all this flour. Why don't you fucking make bread, bro? I just love that. He's like, I made some more bread. I was just like, I love it. It's so cute. But I'm also 34 years of this and eating cans of unidentifiable beans because he likes the beans. Because obviously 30-some years and everything's falling apart.
Yeah,
the cans.
And Jules gets there, she finds him, she's trying to get this silo back functional, and she's trying to get to mechanics so we can get the power back on.
Right.
But it's flooded.
Yes. I think the last 10 levels or something are flooded. Which would make sense. No one's manning the machines, and there's no it's hard telling how long people survive before dying.
Yes.
Because obviously the people that left the silo died. But there were some that stayed. I don't know. It doesn't give a number, but there are some bodies lying around. So I can only imagine the smell, first of all.
Yeah.
The smell of rotten food, the smell of rotten corpses, and no running water with him eating beans. I'm just gonna put it that way. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's a stinker pit. It's like
Yes. And so obviously Solo is blind to that, nose blind to that,
Yes.
because you would fucking have to. And Joel's just like, oh god, I can't breathe in here. Even in the bunker, because, you know, obviously he doesn't smell himself in the running water.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't, I can't do that. I couldn't do it. Anyways.
And then
So-
somehow she finds that the phone works. Like, she can call the secret bunker.
Yeah, so Solo kind of was like, hey, here's my bunker, you know, and, because he, like, runs away from her when he notices her, and so she's like, wait, I need, you know, which I would be the same fucking way, like, no, thank you, I want people, and so he, like, kind of, like, I don't want to say talks down to her, but it was like, yeah, I have knowledge, man. Yeah, you know? Like, yeah, I know some shit. And, that's,
Because all you can do for 30-some years is read those books.
yeah. And so he, like, shows her, like, maps of the continent. And it's so funny for her description. Like, she's like, yeah, there's not a fucking straight line on this. Maps don't, I mean, rarely have a straight line. As, like, a border or, like, water and stuff like that. So I just thought that was kind of a neat kind of, like, yeah, I probably would think that too, you know? Like, I just, sorry, I'm dead, gross. So then he brings up the phone or communication of some sort, and she's like, the fuck, man, you holding out on me? Like, what? I need to call some people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where
Her and Lucas start talking, but she talks to Bernard first.
Yes. So, like, in the server, there's, like, this kind of, like, buzzing sound when you're getting, like, an incoming call. And so Bernard's like, oh, shit, like, they shouldn't need to speak to me so soon. But he's thinking about Silo 1,
Yes.
home base, whatever you want to call it, the first Silo. And, because obviously he gets guidance from someone. And so he's just like, hey, this is from 17, a dead Silo. So he picks it up, and she's like, hello? You know, and he's just like, God damn it, is this who I think it is?
That's why I thought of the phone as like those plug-in lines, because you have
Yeah.
to connect to each silo.
To each silo, which makes sense. I kind of want to go back a little bit. I'm sorry. So it talks about Bernard and his head of IT and what his directives are, and which I thought was interesting. So at this point, it's going to make sense. So it's IT's mandate is number 1. Keep machines preserving the data at any costs.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is why you can't cut the power.
That's why you can't get the power, okay? And obviously a room full of servers is gonna get hot. So obviously they draw a lot of power already, and then cooling them down, I mean, I would say that's a majority of the silo's power supply anyways.
Yeah.
And of course they're drawing power on another source as well. Okay, and then the second one is to never let anyone out of sight. And that's why he booked it down. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to bring that back up. I'm sorry. So you kind of get into, like, the mindset of, fuck my life, you know?
Well, it's also the fact that if somebody goes over the hill, there's a possibility that there is something besides the silo. There's something else
Yes.
that the people can draw hope on, and they don't have to be so rigid in what they think.
Yes. Yeah. That is, you make a very good point. I'm sorry. I didn't think of that. I mean,
because mainly that's why the uprising started, because she went over the hill.
yeah. And that Walker, old man, had to help him.
Yeah.
Help her, besides the people that she, because it's more of a not like knit family down in the deep under. They're all more wanting to, like, look after each other, not how it is on kind of like the upper levels. So,
because I get there's only like a handful of people down there running everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you're working day in and day out, putting 18-hour in day, like, that's you get to know someone and you become friends and you would do anything for them. So that's kind of what starts the uprising and all that. And so she kind of Jules tries to unflood the area, or the other silo, the abandoned silo, with Solo's help. But then she's like, okay, calculations, da-da-da-da. Oh my god, if I did it this way, it's going to take 2 years.
Yes.
And so she does the risky thing that could take a couple months, because she knows there's something going on. Because after Bernard talks to her, he's pissed, and he's like, make a switch, that way I know it's important.
Yes.
He's like, if it's green, that means I need to answer that phone. If it's red, it's that bitch, and I don't want to talk to her. Exactly. And Lucas is like, okay, I got that, I can do that. And then he's like, as soon as Bernard leaves, hey, lover. Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of just basically what it is. And so she's like, Jules is trying to like, Lucas, you have to act. You were in the position to do fucking something, anything. And he's just like, I don't know if I want to.
Well, he's unsure that, like,
that's the right play to do.
Yeah, and he's also in the position where he doesn't know if Bernard is necessarily wrong.
Yes.
Like, this is how it's been for years.
And then the uprising all caused of you.
Yeah.
And I think he's still, like, I want to still love her and believe her, but he can't commit right now.
And he also doesn't know, like,
he's trying to
the
piece
full
together,
extent yet of what's going on.
Yeah. Trying to piece together the history, figure out why it's done this way. And that's his main, like, push. Like, why it has to be this particular way.
And why did it happen is the main thing. Because he doesn't know why they're even in the silo.
Yeah, and he feels like if he knows that part, he can understand and make an informed decision based on that.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, whenever Bernard feels like Lucas was ready, I know I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit.
It's fine. We can skip.
Okay. So he introduces Lucas to head honchos, and he's like, this is who's going to be replacing me. And so he asked one question, and that was like the why. And they're like, well, we did this because we did this. And I'm like, oh, okay.
So basically, what it boils down to is the silos were created, and then the governing body of where the silos are located basically caused the end of the world.
Yes.
And they picked people to go into each of the silos.
Mm-hmm.
So there would still be
society and the history of, and that's why protecting the data is really important, because they suspect in some odd years later, after all the toxins are done, that they're going to resurface, and they need to know their history, even though they were being lied to for the majority of the history.
Yes, and also history is subjective.
Yes, it is.
So you can have one side of the story somewhere else, and then something completely different can be taught in another land.
Prime examples, I'm not getting into that because that's too much. So at the end of that call, Lucas is welcome to the Operation 50th of the World Order. So that kind of gives you, there's 50 silos. And then it's knocked down to 47. Because,
17's
like 17, gone. They had an uprising and thought they knew what was best and left. And then, obviously, they tried to scramble back in because they're like, okay, this is not their right play here.
Yes.
And it takes that one bad seed, and that's kind of where Bernard is, like, hardcore, like, one bad seed, like, you have to, he's like, just this year we just killed 14 people, it's fine. Yeah. I'm like, why say that? Like, don't.
See, and this is why it's like, okay, so you definitely killed the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely killed Scotty.
Yes.
George.
Whoever other poor soul.
Yes. And then that's not people that go to cleaning, because those are obviously public executions, kind of. Like, in a sense, because they're going to die.
Yeah. I consider more of the cleaning like it's like a banishment / I also want to leave, but like natural causes, they bury them with the dirt to recycle like the bodies, which I feel like they should have done anyways, but I mean, I understand the political move of the cleaners.
Yeah.
So like I understand that, but it was...
And the cleaners also show that the outside world is still dangerous.
Yes.
So they need somebody to be kind of like a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a very good way to put it. So, yeah, like people that died of like a suicide or whatever, those get recycled and reused in the circle of life kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which in a silo atmosphere, that's understandable, and that's how it should be, but
yeah,
you shouldn't be killing your citizens because they talk.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just there's some more things that happen.
Jules tries to unflood with the suit and she almost dies.
Yes.
That was
well, that's
dramatic.
my number one fear is drowning, so I'm just like, no. No.
So
no,
does this one need a scary squint?
I mean, it's just my number one fear. I'd really like burn alive and then drown because I just don't like the idea. So like that part, like I was like, oh god, I'm like, and then she's like, I don't know how I'll make it. I'm like, you better fucking make it, like go. Yeah.
But she has a radio in that suit, and
yes,
Walker has been messing with the radio, and he finds different frequencies, and he tunes into Jules.
Yes. So then, of course, that fuels the uprising some more, and then she's like trying to get Shirley like, don't stop, like, you know, because she saw what had happened to Silo 17. Yeah. So she's like trying to be like, don't do this because of me, stop. But they're already too fucking deep, like, you know, like they're already into the uprising here,
barricaded in. They're gonna
like
bomb the stairs.
Yeah. So like on all this part, Solo is trying to help her, like, hey, if this happens, do this. I need oxygen.
Yes.
And so she knows something's wrong when she's, like, running out of oxygen and, like, she's trying to, like, swim up. And then she finds out there are actually more survivors, which is, like, fucked up because they're all really young. So they had to have been, like, babies.
Well, I think what happened is there were a couple, at least one couple, that survived,
right. Yeah,
and then they had kids.
Yeah. And of course, you know, that generation is, I don't want to say that generation's dumb, but they're not educated because they had no one to show them.
Yes.
So she, like, takes them under her wing and was like, hey, Solo, who's now, hey, my name's actually Jimmy.
Yeah.
Kind of, like, takes on the caregiver role because she's like, I need to go, like, because then she finds out that Lucas is being banned because Bernard's like, fuck, I made the wrong call. You're not fucking good enough for me. You don't understand. So he sends him out to cleaning, and of course, everyone else is going. Anyone that caught in like the uprising resistance,
yes,
whatever. And so she's like, oh my god, I need to go. So she's like, I'll be back for you guys. I'll be back. So like she like manufactures a whole other fucking suit.
This is her like third suit, by the way.
Yeah, because, you know, she invented a scuba dive thing, and she cut herself out of that one, because why can't you just make it easy to get out of?
Why can't you make a zipper? Like, makes it...
It's not secure. Okay? It's not secure. Anyways, so...
Wetsuits have zippers.
Yeah, but if you're trying to keep stuff out... So she... creates a whole nother fucking suit and goes up the hill, like, oh my god. And so, like, as soon as the door opens from Silo 18, she, like, rushes in, and because she knows as soon as that door closes, it won't come open. So she has, like, this, I want to say, like, a fire blanket and heat protect.
I think it was, like, a heat tape blanket. Like, she manufactured a blanket out of heat tape.
Yes, and, like, you know, like, go on down to the ground with Lucas and, like, try to tape them in, and survive in the burning airlock until there is no more air.
Yes.
And she's just like, get the fuck in here. And he's like, no, I gotta leave. And I'm like, you just need to die.
Because he has a faulty suit, too. So his suit isn't
as protective.
well insulated, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like Jules got more burns on her than he did. Because she's trying to save his ass, and she's like, get back in here, bitch! Like, you dumb.
Well, she had to deal with Silo 17 suits.
But she ended up taking off, like, the programming screen so she could see clearer. Which, that would probably make a big difference. Yes. But anyways, so the book kind of ends with her getting back into the silo. And obviously she's kind of fucked up because of the burn situation. And Lucas, I think, has some burns, but not as deep. Or not as bad. And so it's like a week or two later, she wakes up. Right?
So, okay.
I rushed this part, I'm sorry.
So you missed this part.
Okay.
So, when she's in the airlock.
Yes.
They open up the thing. She sees Lucas. Mm-hmm. But his hands are different. So it's like, this isn't Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't tell you, like, strictly who it is.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. So
I know you rushed this part.
I rushed this part, so I'm like, I'm thinking this is Lucas. Okay? Okay, go on.
Okay.
Tell me what I missed.
So, the other guy, the other person that was in there, died in the airlock. Because they jumped out of the blanket and they burned.
Oh, I thought that was Lucas trying to escape. It wasn't him. Who was that then?
Okay, so this is Bernard. Is yes, because Peter hears their conversation.
Yeah,
and he's
didn't
like,
get that. I didn't. Oh my god, mind blown. I thought they just sent him to cleaning afterwards.
No.
No shame. I feel stupid now.
I caught it and I was like, whose hands are those? And I know in the book earlier they probably said something about Bernard's hands.
Okay.
So you're probably supposed to get it at that point.
I
skipped it.
Okay.
So I didn't get it at that point until they said that Bernard was gone.
Okay. I feel like such an idiot. I feel like I missed a vital part of this book. And
well, you rushed the end of it, which is fine.
It's not fine, Rachel. We're doing a fucking podcast of books.
This is a 600-page book, and we both had issues.
Okay. So Pete makes the decision.
Yes.
As the,
to switch them. So Bernard makes a suit for Bernard, and he doesn't know.
That makes me feel so much better, because I'm just like, why is he trying to fucking escape?
Yeah.
Oh. Jules did the right thing. She's a better person than I am. Okay. Okay. Now I was thinking, like, Lucas, you're a fucking dumb bitch. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
So Lucas is fine. He was not in the airlock.
Okay.
You should have stopped me earlier, Rachel. Well, at that point, when you were talking, you're supposed to think it's Lucas.
Okay, so I played into that pretty heavily. Yes. Sorry, guys. At least Rachel knows what's up. Okay.
So, then, it's 3 weeks later, mm-hmm. She's healed from her burn, she's gotten correspondence from the Down Deep and everybody
people
else.
That survived, at least.
Saying that they're happy that she's alive and all this stuff. And then she wants to make a journey to see everybody.
Mm-hmm. And
then Lucas kind of comes clean and he goes, hey, me and Peter have held something back from you.
And it makes it so much more like, oh my God, come on.
So they said, since Bernard is dead, he went to cleaning. We held an election while you were in the hospital.
Yes.
But Bernard was the only one on the ballot for this election.
Yes, because he was a shoo-in.
Yes. So, while she is in the hospital healing from her burns, everybody in the silo decided that they were going to write her name in. Yes. So now, she's the mayor.
And it kind of ends with, there might be something between Lucas and her later on, and she's going to go visit her dad, build that bridge back, kind of thing, and that she's like, okay, well, if I'm going to be a mayor, then I'm going to fucking spread the knowledge of everything.
Yeah, she's going to tell the truth to the people.
and she thinks that's going to give a more cohesive, hey, we're in this together, not, hey, you're IT and I'm this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's going to give you more of a, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's happened. And here's our history, our real history. And we're going to move forward and we're going to be okay. Because she knows they have other people in the silo, at least Silo 17, that she can ship back over.
Yes.
Which I think is going to be in the second book. I'm not sure, but I would assume so.
I think since the second one is called Shift, I think it might be.
Whatever. So, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before I talk a little bit about the TV show?
Okay, so at the end of this book, I just want to touch on the fact that I believe that Jules did the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't keep people in the dark for any reason. You know what I mean?
It leads to senseless death like Silo 17.
Yes.
Like, where you just don't give everyone the information and they're just like, you know, the one person knows they're lying and then that spins balls into something else, hope, which hope is great, but you also need all the facts before you can just rush out of the fucking airlock.
Yes.
Like, you know how toxic it is, like, because they've done the cleanings in every other silo.
Yeah. And ultimately, knowledge is power. If you have the knowledge, you can form something better.
Yes.
Hiding things is not the way to go.
No.
Period.
If people choose to be ignorant, that's another issue. But, no. So...
Okay, now the TV.
The main differences I noticed 100% was, in the show, is concrete stairs. It's, in the book, it's always talked about the metal. The vibration of the metal, people going up and down. That is not the case in the TV show. And I hate that. Anyways, that is the main thing. But this show starts out with the sheriff and Allison got into a lottery to have a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's their third time to be in this lottery. Okay. And that's kind of important. And then, so, this is when George comes into play. George is the one that found the hard drive and was trying to get her specifically because he knows she's open-minded.
Mm.
And so she's, like, breaking the code. And then he gets sent down to the mechanics. Because he was on, like, level maybe 100-ish near the marketplace.
Yeah.
And so he kind of got demoted right after Allison decided to go crazy in the cafeteria because she cut out her implant. So they had like this metal like implant in the hip.
Yes.
So women can't get pregnant. And so they've had it taken out 2 other times beside this. Well, with the information from the hard drive, and someone else that's also open-minded and was like, you're being lied to. Mm-hmm. They didn't take out the implant because they didn't want that couple to have a kid because they're not obeyers. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And that's why she's go crazy in the cafeteria. She cut it out and was like, it's all a lie! And it's true.
Yeah.
But you sound like a crazy person. And so, you know, Allison was in the jail cell and she's like, if I clean it, it's not like, what you see is not true. So she cleans it. Mm-hmm. She cleans the sensor because she's like, it's so beautiful and bright out here. She got tricked.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Like, so, like, there's so much to the back end. You're already meeting George. You already know why Allison's the way she is. And I think that's also move forward the plot.
Yeah. Well, in the book, they mention the implant, like, a couple different times.
Yes. But the importance of, like, it's all an illusion. It's like, yeah, they took it out, not really.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want them to. And it just gives them, like, you feel like this great, like, oh, I won. And then you have a year to have the baby. Mm-hmm. And then that year you get the implant put back in. And I'm just like, so, like, it goes through, like, a whole year, the first episode, and, like, towards the end, she's like, well, I don't even care about having sex anymore because I know I can't have fucking a kid.
Yeah.
And so she's like, my husband's the sheriff. He needs proof. So that's why she cuts it out. And she's like, they fucking lied to us. And, of course, the doctor's like, well, that's just in there. It's a secondary implant just to, you know, make sure. Yeah, fucking lies. It's all lies.
Lies.
Yes.
All of it's lies.
So that's kind of, yeah. And so the episode ends with George just got murdered, quotations, and Jules is like, nah, he was fucking murdered.
Yeah.
I said that backwards. Killed, murdered. He dead, okay? And Jules is like, nah, he wouldn't have killed himself because they were lovers in secret.
Mm-hmm.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
Fucked up. Anyways, that's the show, at least the first episode. In comparison to the book, I thought it was pretty spot on besides the stairs. That drove me insane. I was pissed. I was like, that is, because like, they talk about the stairs in the book, like being so worn down, like, you know, like the metal, like triangles are so worn down.
Yeah.
It's like getting like, the concrete looked completely fine. I'm like, if you're going to do a book or a TV show based on a book that's like, the steps are worn down by all this wear and tear and they look fucking fine. Like, no. Anyways, that's my only complaint about the show so far.
Okay. I didn't get to watch the show because I just finished this today.
I did priorities, guys. I didn't mean to, and I spoiled myself because I was like, I know I want to read the book first and then watch it, and then I was like,
see, that's why I wanted to completely finish the book because I learned from Wheel of Time.
I should have. I don't know why I did that to myself. I was just thinking, I'm like, well, the first season is only halfway through the first book, so I'm like, surely I've already read. I'm already like 70% in. I think I'll be all right.
Nah.
Nope. Just don't do it. Finish the book before you do anything else. So, what was your rating overall?
My overall rating was a 4.
Okay.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. It just wasn't a 5-star book for me.
Okay.
I don't know the distinction between 4 and 5.
It's in your head. It's an imaginary number. I mean, it's not an imaginary number, but I mean, I get it. I actually agree with you on this one too. I think it was a 4. I really did enjoy the backstory. I always like post-apocalyptic stuff anyways. Mm-hmm. So it was a really good joy to read, even though I was stressing myself out about finishing it. But I really did enjoy it, and I will continue the series 100%.
Yeah. I already got the next one.
It's
on Kindle Unlimited, so just...
I actually want the physical books of this one, actually. That's how much I really did like it, and it is a reread for me. Probably not right now, like anytime soon, but I did really enjoy it.
Yeah, and I'll probably pick up the physical of the other two.
Yeah, I get it.
But I read multi-different.
Yes.
So I read Kindle and physical and audiobook and all of
yes,
all of it.
I do a mixture. I mean, there just are some, like, main guide I have to read physically. I just can't deal with that. But, like, podcast books, I like it because I can make the notes on my Kindle.
Yeah.
But there is just something about holding a book. There is just...
Yeah. But this one is, the second one is on Kindle Unlimited.
Okay, well,
just so you know.
That. Yeah.
I think all of them are, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. But you're probably right if you looked into it. I didn't look into it yet. So what was your science-y score?
I think it's about a 3. Because it wasn't, like, over-the-top science. It was just kind of, like...
I was gonna... Sorry. Are you done?
Yeah.
I was gonna give it a 2.5. Just because, like, yeah, there's machinery, but I don't really feel like that's in the realm of science-esque, I guess. The IT stuff, but, like, it's just computers. Like, that's great. They, like, can code and stuff, but, like, it's not really, not like the fabricator or, like, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I didn't really see a lot of the science part in the book.
Yeah. This is
for
more
me to give it a high rating.
Yeah. This is more of the dystopian side of science fiction.
Yeah, which I love reading any of that stuff. So.
Yeah.
But I also like the sci-fi part of it, like the actual, like, science part of fiction. So it's kind of like a give and take. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. 2.5 and a 4-star overall. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry, we talked kind of a lot. It was a lot to go over. We tried condensing. I don't know if that helped or not. The next book for the next podcast is Getting Muscle. A monster love story, romance, or it's a romance pick of the month, and then we're also doing the bonus week of the 4 Madison and Case series by Tate James.
Yes.
Sorry, it's a mouthful.
And those are Hate, Liar, Fake, and Kate.
Yes. So that's what we're going to talk about the last week of the month. And then we're going to talk about this. Hopefully it's a shorter episode for you guys that don't want to hear us talk and talk and talk.
I'm just going to warn you, the fantasy ones and the sci-fi ones are probably going to be longer episodes.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
how it is. Because you got world building and a bunch of characters.
Unless it's like one where you can already take from, like kind of how like was, where it's more of like, I was automatically thinking, Furiosa.
Mad Max.
Yeah, Mad Max. Because I like already have that in my head. And I'm like, I already built that up. This one took a little bit longer, just because of the complexity of it.
Yes.
But a very good read if you like sci-fi. If not, you can just hear us talk about it. It's fine.
Well, if you like dystopian in general and books that have like a political aspect, I know reading in general is pretty political. This is more so because it's very much in it.
Yeah, it's more of like, you see what side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which may hit a little closer to home than we want to at this time, but I don't know when this was written, so...
let's see if the copyright date is in here.
It's not... I mean, obviously the whole series is out, so it's not like a newer...
2012?
Oh, 2012. I was not thinking it was that old. Wow. Okay. So, still, you can see politic in any aspect of books.
Yes.
So. But we're not going to get into that because it's not the podcast we're doing. Because that's going to get us canceled.
I don't care if I'm getting canceled this time. Fuck Trump. I don't care at this point.
I'm not, because I'm scared.
Cancel me. I don't care.
Rachel tells it how it is. But yeah, it was a really good book. I really did enjoy it. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to us talk about it and jumble around. And hope to see you next week.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Bye.
See ya.